This week's course was Eisenhower Golf Course, which is off of Defense Highway, east of Route 97, and just west of Annapolis. It is rather sedate, kind of upscale course in, I guess, more or less country club manner, but it's not really a country club course. It's kind of an upscale course, but the big thing is it still has that kind of old school feel for courses in that area where you just get a slightly different feel. It's kind of a weird vibe in these courses around Annapolis. It's like they were designed well back in like 1942 or something like that. And it's a course that, like Bay Hill, is a fairly woods course, but still kind of open. This was a little bit better than Bay Hill, I would say. Better layout. Clubhouse, I guess, was under repair. Maybe they were expanding it or something, but they had half of it in a shack and half of it in an old clubhouse, kind of like a community center or something, but wasn't too bad. Decent choices and so forth for food and hot dogs and so forth. I didn't get a chance to check out the shower facilities in this place, so I'm not going to comment on that, although I really should say that for last. Let's get back to the course. The course is pretty mellow in terms of the layout. It has some sort of peculiarities to it that you know, like the first tee shot, you really have to be careful not to go off to the right because there's a big sort of drop off and off to the right of the fairway, but you can't really see that from the first tee. And also, they don't have black tees on this course. They only have blues, whites, and reds. And the white, we played from the white tees. Guys want to play from white tees, we played from the white tees. And it was still a fairly decent challenge even from the white tees, though noticeably shorter than from the blues. Certainly on some of the holes, like the first hole, the blue tees are maybe 10 yards back from the whites, but on some of the other holes, you notice that they're, elevated when the whites are not elevated, or the blue tees are back another somewhere between 25 to 50 yards from the white tees. So it definitely makes a difference on this course. And the rating I'm going to give is for the blue tees, but I had a fair amount of trouble, I guess, from the white tees. I was playing with some guys who were pretty good, knew the course well, and they had a pretty good game, and it was a challenge. It was usually I don't play with anybody else, so this was definitely a couple steps up for me to not only play with other people, but to play with people who were actually pretty good. So it was a good, fun challenge. And I would say that the course was a good game. It wasn't a great course, I wouldn't say, but it wasn't a bad course either. It certainly wasn't a boring, mundane course. It was decent. It had some water on it at some lakes. There's certainly a lake in the middle of the backside. The front side is much drier. There's like the edge. You play on the very edge of the lake that they have on the back, where you see much more of the lake on the backside. And there's some waste and some significant verticality, some uphill shots, downhill shots, approach shots to the green. The greens and the course overall, though, were not in, I would say, good shape, which was sort of a letdown for the fact that the course was, $45 with a cart in the middle of the week during the day, and I wasn't able to get on it through Golf Now because they only let you play 2s and 4s through Golf Now, so I had to walk on and just walked on and played the price that they had at the moment, which was $45 at was it 10 o'clock or something in the morning on a weekday morning. So it was a kind of a letdown for that, considering that you're paying that much money for a course where we have the same problems that I had at, say, Virginia Oaks and also at Cannon Ridge, where a lot of crabgrass in the fairways around the greens. Greens were sort of really borderline acceptable with cart tracks on them or more tracks on them and black spots. And I didn't see any actual wasp damage on this course, but at least on the front side, the greens were just barely, playable. A lot of the putts we were taking, balls were hopping up and down, you know, and it was really not good. I would say most people would say it was just not, you know, not really acceptable as far as the condition of the course. But the layout was decent, and it made up for that. And I can't say that I would say that this was a $50 course in terms of the condition. Absolutely not. I would say that it was a $40 layout. You know, you can, you know, knock off $10 here and there, but the layout was a good challenge. It was absolutely was a good challenge. You had sand traps that were in okay condition, especially considering we've had a lot of rain around here lately. Sand traps front into greens on almost all the greens, and that certainly made it an interesting challenge. The pins were almost always behind the sand traps, and on a number of the greens, you just didn't have any room really to scull balls out of the sand traps. It was very easy to put a ball back in the woods behind the green. And I thought that was one of the, interesting and different things about this course is it wasn't a hard layout, but it certainly wasn't easy. And you had to be really careful to hit at least, you had to work a little bit to hit a decent tee shot. And you certainly had to work to get on the greens in a good, in good shape, because there were a lot of holes with a drop off around the green. There were a lot of holes with woods and stuff near the green, or waste near the green, and waste in play on the fairways, and it just was not a walkover course. So I think that the course definitely gets a solid B grade for the layout. I'd give it at best a C for the condition. It gets maybe a C plus for the facilities, and I would give it a strike certainly on the front side, because almost all the front side you're playing next to Defense Highway, and sometimes you can even see the trucks roaring by and so forth, and there's really a fair amount of road noise on the front side, but the back is actually pretty nice. The back is much quieter, hardly any road noise. There are no houses on the course, so that's a major plus. There were the occasional greenskeeper, of course, running around, but they weren't obnoxious. They were relatively respectful of the players, and we had a good time. I'm unfortunately I had some problems with my phone, and I ended up somehow triggering my YouTube page while I was playing, and shutting the sound off and forgetting to reboot the phone. I lost the battery power, and I couldn't take pictures of the 17th and 18th holes. But number 18 is a very nice hole, par 4 dogleg uphill. I liked it. Really wished I could take pictures of it. It was nice. And number 17 is I think it's a par 3, nice hole. Overall, a very nice round. I enjoyed the round. The course definitely could have been in better condition, especially the greens. But other than that, it was a nice, fun round. I can certainly recommend this course just to play it. I'd give it at least a B minus, at least. That's Eisenhower Golf Course in Annapolis, Maryland.